Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about requirements engineering and management. So we are going to mainly focus about what are requirements and how are requirements going to be managed and what is requirement engineering. So moving more into requirements, we all know that in the SDLC process, that is software development life cycle, the first steps is requirement specification, and it is more important in order to get to know more about the software or to develop a software. It is the main phase. So we are going to discuss about more about requirements engineering in this subject and why it is important for a software development or a software developer to know more about requirements. We are going to learn more in the upcoming chapters. The first chapter we are going to learn today is requirements problem. So in this we have mainly three objectives. Those are like goal of software development. So we are going to define what is the goal or what is the main aim or reason behind software development. There could be many reasons. In order to solve a problem, we create a software. Mainly in order to solve a problem, we create a software. Or to satisfy a contract, we create a software. So there can be many reasons or goals why we create a software development. So we're going to define or describe about what is the main goal of software development. So the second one is describe root causes of software project success and failure. So every software project that is being developed can't be succeeded. Some will be failed. So we are going to define what causes a project to be succeeded or failed. So what causes a software to be succeeded or failed is the main thing we are going to learn in this chapter, and we're going to discuss how these root causes are going to affect the software project development. The third one is to illustrate the high cost of requirement errors. So when requirement errors occur, so what are requirement errors? Basically, requirement errors are like errors due to incorrect requirements, or like requirements errors are requirement phase errors which we caused in the first phase of the SDLC. So maybe it may be due to incorrect requirements or like how we understood the requirements. So now the first thing we are going to discuss is the goal of software development. This is the first objective we are going to discuss now. So what is the goal of software development? So the main goal of software development is to create a quality software. What is a quality software? So quality software can be described as a software which meets the quality standards as described by the standards committee, and also a quality software development should be done on time. So there will be there will be time limit where we have to submit the software on time, in the sense we have to submit before the time limit and within this time specified in the software like contract, and on budget. What is on budget? So every software, like we can't use a lot of cost or a lot of money for a small software, so we have to allot money to each software development as specified according to their size or complexity. So we have to develop a quality software on budget which is specified before the development of the project. So we have to meet the real customers' needs. So developing a software on time and on budget are equally important, and this is the main factor, meeting customers' real needs. So what are customers' real needs? Developing a software means we are solving a problem of a user needs. So we have to create a software which is aligning to this, meeting customers' real needs. If we don't meet a customer's real needs and create a software, it is of completely no use. For example, think a person needs a calculator to calculate his income, all the income of all the months, and we are giving a calculator which doesn't calculate this, or which just does multiplication things. So it's of a complete no use. Although it's a calculator, it has to calculate his income, which deducts all his expenditure and savings, which includes all his savings, and we have to design a calculator in such a way. But we have created a calculator which just does multiplication. So this is a completely of no use. So we have to meet the real customer needs for quality software, and this is the main goal of the software development. So next, let's go into some data collected by Standish Group in 1994. So in US, some like 175,000 projects were developed, and the cost that was spent on these projects were nearly 250 billion. So they have conducted a survey on all these projects, and they have decided some projects in IT applications which have failed or like which are cancelled, and they have created what are the challenges faced by the projects and which caused them to be challenged, success or failure. So first, let's look into the data or statistics given by the Standish Group and their survey. 31% of projects in IT applications will be cancelled before they ever get completed. So out of all the 100 guess, for example, out of all the 1,75,000 projects which are created by the US or which are done by the US in the IT. So out of these 1,75,000 projects, 31% of the projects which are developed for the IT application sector has been cancelled before they ever get completed. So there may be many reasons for the cancellation of the projects in between. So that can be due to the budget limits or the and maybe time deadlines have been completed, or there may be some bugs or errors which couldn't be corrected in the software, or there can be many reasons actually for the software to be failed, or like it can't be completed on time, and then that's why they get cancelled. Maybe that may be due to the team's inconsistency or the inefficiency of the team to complete the software. And also 52.7% of the projects will cost 189% of the original estimates. So we have discussed in the goal of software development that we have to create a quality software on time, on budget, and meet customers' real needs. So here 52.7% of the projects will cost 199% of their original estimates. Here we have been excluding the factor on budget. So this is the main goal of the software development, to create a quality software which is to be on budget. So 52.7% of the projects have costed 199% of their original estimates. This is a huge cost, and it is therefore it is a very big loss to the software project development people, and then hence it can't be considered as a quality software because it is not developed on budget. Although it is developed on time and meets customers' real needs, it is not developed on budget. So this is exceeding more amount than the estimated amount. So the third thing we are going to discuss about root causes of project success and failure. As we have discussed, there may be many causes for a project to be succeeded and fail. So we are going to mainly focus on what are the root causes. So as the Standish Group survey has suggested before, that 31% of the projects have been cancelled, and based on these surveys they have categorized the projects which have been categorized as success, challenged and failed. So success in the sense as a project has been successfully completed. Challenged in a sense it was late and did not meet the expectations. It could be like it was late and then cancelled, or it was late and then it was a failure. So it can be both. So impaired in the sense failure or cancelled even before they get completed, as we have seen in the previous section of the survey. So now we are going to see what are the causes or root causes that have caused the projects to be called as challenged, and what makes the projects challenged. So the first cause is lack of user input. So many of the users or real users, end users, doesn't know what they exactly need, and even though what they need exactly, they can't verbalize that well to the developers who want to listen to them when they are collecting the requirement specification, and they can't exactly express the requirements of them in a correct way. So it's basically the developers skill to understand the requirements given by the user. So the lack of user input is 13%, which causes the major factor to be the projects to be called as challenged. And next one is incomplete requirements and specifications. This also is a part of users where they give incomplete requirements when they have to give a complete set of requirements which requires the developer to create a software on time and on budget. So this contributes to 12%. So incomplete requirements in the sense the requirements are not complete, and they may add the requirements further in the future, and they don't know what the requirements are basically. And like if there are 100% of the requirements, they just give the 80% of the requirements and they ask us to create a software. It's impossible, and it causes challenges while creating the software, and that's why incomplete requirements causes a second main factor for the projects to be called as challenged projects. So as we go to the third one, it is changing the requirements and specifications. So the first phase in requirement specification, when software developer goes to the users and ask about the requirements, they give certain set of requirements. Let's consider that as A. So a developer has been designing an analysis on these A set of requirements. Well, then after some time, maybe after consider like a 6 months of time period, and then the users come again, they change the requirements from A to B, which are completely opposite to A. So the time has been wasted in A, which is time has been wasted, and they have designed they have done analysis on these requirements, on these set of requirements. Have they planned to code according to these set of requirements, and they may have already coding. May have already done coding, or coding the software and construction of the software has been already done. But then the users come and change these requirements to a set of requirements called B. What happens now? It's a complete waste of time, and we have to rework on complete thing again. So this is the main cause of challenging the projects, which is changing requirements and specifications. This causes the project to be challenged. Although the developer can do this B set of requirements, but they should have done this A set of requirements ahead of B, and this is a waste of time, and which causes a lot of waste of time and a lot of waste of manual work of the developer. So now let's go into projects called as success projects, and what causes factors for projects to be succeeded. Let's learn about that. So as we've seen in the challenged projects, lack of user input is the main cause of projects causing being challenged. So here also for the projects causing to be success, the main factor is user involvement. So when user is involved actively in the process of software development, it can cause the project to succeed a lot, because when users are more involved, the software developers can interact for each phase with the user, and can show the prototypes to the user to see if the requirements are correct, and if they're going in the correct way, or if they're meeting the correct user needs, what they need exactly, when some users can't convey them. And the next one is executive management support. This is the main factor which causes the projects, and this is 14%. This goes to the 14% where executive management support, organizational support is there for the software development team, and thus this leads to the projects to be succeeded. The third one is clear statement of requirements. As we have seen before, incorrect requirements or incomplete requirements or changing requirements can cause the project to be challenged, whereas clear statement of requirements, where a set of statements have been clearly stated to the developer, and they have a clear notion about what requirements we have to develop, and these are the complete set of requirements. So there are no more changes, or there are no more additionals to these requirements. When developer knows this, they have a clear notion, and they can go straight forward to the design and developing the code for the software very clearly, and thus this causes the projects to be success. So the next we see what are the main software development problems. So there are basically two software development problems. There are many major problems for the software development, but these are the main major two problems which have been explicitly stated by SPT. What is SPT? So SPT is basically European Software Project Improvement Training Initiative. So they have conducted a survey, and they have known about two main problems of the software development phases, and these are requirement specification. So as we all know, first one is requirement phase, and then that is analysis phase, and then comes design phase, and then comes coding phase. So for the requirement phase, the requirement specification comes under requirement phase. Here we do ask the users about the requirements, and we have to specify the requirements in a well documented called as SR, software requirement specification. We have to specify the requirements in a standard manner to know about the requirements and their users or their requirements. We have many questions to be asked about requirements, and then we all have to specify these in a correct way and a correct manner in SRS. So the main problem is requirement specification. Users can't actually specify what the requirements are. Although they may say in their language, we have to understand it technically. We developers have to understand it technically according to the functionalities of the system we are going to develop. So requirement specification is the main major problem which we have to understand on the part of users. So next one is managing customer requirements. So managing customer requirements comes under ordering the requirements or managing the requirements. When a customer produces a set of requirements, we have to manage and order them according to their priorities. We have to understand the main or priorities of the function of the system to be running, and we have to prioritize them according to their order. From this we can manage the customer requirements, but many problems occur due to this when we can't prioritize what comes first and what comes next. So this is one of the major problem, that is managing customer requirements. So here we have high cost of requirement errors. As we have already seen, requirement errors can be due to erroneous requirements, or when we have developed a project due to some error caused in the requirement phase, or incomplete requirements, or we have taken complete set of opposite requirements. For example, if a customer gave us a requirement set called 1, and we have taken a complete set of different requirements. So what they have specified is one, but what we have developed according to is two. So this is completely erroneous, like they have given us a set of requirements of one, but we didn't understand it and we have taken a requirements of two. So these are completely different, and we have developed a design which is completely wrong from the customer's point of view. So these cause requirement errors, and one person, Davis, has given us what are the cost of requirement errors and what it could cost. Here we are. So this is relative cost to repair. According to each phase, what is the relative cost to repair? As we can see, the first one is 0.1 to 0.2. So this is basically requirements time. When errors are identified in the requirements period, it is just 0.1 to 0.2 of the budget we are using, and when these are caused in 0.5, this 0.5 refers to design phase. So when errors are being discovered in the design phase, 0.5% of the budget could be spent on the clearing the errors, or and in the coding phase, if the errors has been it is 1%, and here it is unit testing, so it is about 2%, and here it is acceptance testing, here it is about 5%, and then last comes the maintenance or implementation. So maintenance comes after implementation, right? So as we can see here, 0.1 to 0.2 budget is only spent according to requirements. When we find errors in the requirement phase, it is about 0.1 to 0.2. But when the requirement errors aren't discovered, they aren't discovered in this phase and they have come until this phase, think what happens. It's almost like 20 times the requirement phase. When errors aren't discovered earlier, it costs us 20 times the requirement phase. Imagine spending all the budget on covering these requirements, and what is left to develop the software actually. So we have to find the errors more earlier to reduce the cost of correcting the errors. So this is the main motto of this this graph given by Davis, and this is called relative cost to repair according to each phase in SDLC. Okay, so now let's go into the errors during the design of a development project. So let's discuss about what are those errors. So there are two kinds of errors. The first one is errors from a technical design. Okay, imagine the development team has created a technical design from a correct set of requirements. Correct set of requirements as given in the SRS given by the users, and this SRS is being developed by the developers, of course. So users have given these requirements, and developers have developed an SRS to understand the requirements and analysis. So they have developed a technical design from these SRS who have developed development staff, and these are correct set of requirements. Although this is correct set of requirements, there may be some errors in the technical design. Okay, this type of error is the first type of errors, and now we have second type of errors. This is the requirements given by the user. Okay, we have considered this is a complete set of wrong requirements, and we have used this requirement to create the design, and now these are called as requirement errors, where we have got errors from the incorrect set of requirements. So although these are incorrect set of requirements, we haven't recognized this in the requirement phase. If we have recognized these errors in the requirement phase, it would cost less to correct the errors, but we haven't recognized this, and this somehow leaked into the design phase. So after requirements comes analysis, and then comes design. So the errors caused due to incorrect requirements in the requirement phase have not been identified, and this leaks into the design phase, and later it comes into the first it leaks into the analysis phase, and later it comes into the design phase. So this have the errors created in the design. So this is second type of errors. You understood it? First type of errors have been created from a correct set of requirements, but somehow those errors have been raised, and the second set of requirements have been like from an incorrect set of requirements, but these has been leaked into the design phase. So now let's discuss about the effects of the requirement errors. As we have discussed earlier, there are two types of errors. One which is from a technical design created by the development staff with a correct set of requirements, and second one is requirement errors which have been somehow leaked into the design phase without being identified. Now let's discuss what effects are we going to have, or what consequences. We can also call this as consequences. What consequences are to be faced when these errors have been raised, or when these have been identified. So requirement oriented errors, these are requirement errors. It is a waste of invested effort and time, erroneous requirements. So when there are requirement errors, when we have created an design based on wrong requirements or incorrect requirements, what happens? So we need a software according to the customer's needs, but we have created incorrect requirements design. So what happens? It's a waste of time, as we have to create a design again, we have to do the analysis again, we have to do the specification again, we have to do the coding again. It's a complete waste of time and effort, and also the resources. So these are due to the erroneous requirements. What are erroneous requirements? Basically, it is called as incorrect requirements. So when we create a design, coding, analysis due to incorrect requirements, we have to redo it again. It is a complete waste of time. So the design which we have created, that is from incorrect requirements, can't be used now, because this is a complete opposite of what the user needs. So it has to be thrown away or again reworked completely. So, and the second main effect is that true nature of the error is disguised. So when we do the testing, we may think that the error is basically from design phase. So we check errors in the design phase, but actually we never discover that there is a requirement error. So after a long time of checking in the design phase, then we recognize that is a requirement error, and we come again back to the requirement phase and then check the errors. So we have seen what are requirement errors and what causes requirement errors and what could be the consequences of requirement errors. So when there is a requirement error, and to repair that defect or error, what costs us? So like what are the costs we are going to spend, and what areas are we going to spend the costs in are described below. So the first one is re-specification. So this is basically requirement specification. So re-specification, in a sense, we have to do a specification again, we have to go to the users for the complete set of requirements again, and we have to analyze them again. So after analyzing the requirements for the second time, we have to redesign. So the design which we have created earlier has to be thrown or reworked. We have to redesign and from a correct set of requirements again. We have to do the coding again. Coding is basically constructing the software. We have to test again if these are of correct or these are also erroneous requirements, or this is also an incorrect design. We have to check for that. And we have to change orders. Change orders in the sense, we have given an order of execution in our previous design, and we have to change the orders if there are any changes in the design. We obviously have to change the order of execution of those process. So corrective action is basically, so we have done wrong software or a defective software. So we have to we have to uncover the damages, and we have to undo the damages have been done by these defective software to the users. Scrap is basically the unwanted design which we have created due to incorrect requirements. So recall of the defective versions of software is basically, so we have given a software version which have been identified defects, and we have to recall these defective versions, because in order to not cause any damages, we have to recall these defective versions of software. And warranty costs. So we have to give warranty cost to the users, because warranty cost, in a sense, we have given a defective software, so we have to give them warranty that we are going to give them again a software which is of good quality and which is free of defects and errors. So product liability is basically like some users who have got the defective software, or users who get the defective software, can sue us for the defective software. They can sue us for those defective softwares in the law. So next one is service costs. For example, there has been done some damage, and we have to go maintain, and we need the service cost for the traveling, for the person or for the company or organization to go to the customer's environment and install the new software and recall of the defective software we need. So it is basically maintenance. So maintenance fee which is borne by the organization. So these are the areas to be worked upon when there occurs a defect in the requirement errors. So next, let's discuss about what is software requirement in the next video. Thank you.